Hey everybody, it's Bust with Expedition Trial number 224. Let's get to it. First, first post-Christmas expedition. It's got to go well, right? so, so let's take a look. I'm kind of like half tempted to take this Vi, because it's been quite a while since we've actually drafted Vi. I feel like we've done both Tarek and Shyvana here, fairly recently. This is a pretty weak Vi pack, and I'm mainly just interested in trying her if we're able to pair it up with a with Riven. That seems to be like how all of our decks go these days. It's like, how can we take advantage of Reforge? But we'll see what we're able to pull off with this. If you're wanting to just take this run and try to shoot for 7 with it, I would recommend probably the Shyvana. This is a pretty good start, even though Ranger's Resolve is fairly weak. This is also a pretty decent Tarek. Tarek is just a fairly strong champion. He's in Targon, which is one of the better factions in the game, but we're really looking to be starting with like Zenith Blade. Zenith Blade is the big Tarek card that we're actually looking for, and both the Sunblessed Vigor and the Ibex are pretty weak. But we'll take this cloning program Vi. Let's take a moment. We'll get it pulled up on the site. If you're not familiar with the site, it's ftpbus.com. Did manage to get the tier list updated, so this is up to date for the 1.16 patch. There's the text version here on the little tier list header. There's an article somewhere in here that has the image version. You can also get to that from the header, and then the video version is up on the old YouTube as well. But here today, we're going to be over on the Expedition Helper. We'll just click on the little drop-down box, scroll down to Vi, click on Cloning Program, and this is where we're at. And so, in general, this this pool is pretty terrible. Come on, bud. The thing that you're supposed to be doing with Cloning Program is we're going to use things like counterfeit copies, which is easily the worst card in the game, and then we're going to use things like Parade Electro Rig to shuffle copies of cards into our deck, and then hopefully that's going to just give us a super high quality deck. And then the things we're looking to shuffle back in would either be things like Enraged Yeti, so we can say that we like played an Avrosian Trapper, put a 1-cost 5/5 unit into our deck, then we draw it and shuffle a whole bunch more copies into our deck because a 5/5 for 1 mana is a pretty good deal. And then the higher value play that you would be doing is putting copies of Elnix into your deck and then playing a troop of Elnix to pull out a big chunk of Elnix all at the same time. All these strategies are horrible. They just take way too much investment for not enough payoff, and so it's not something that we really like to pursue. But as far as this cloning program Vi, if you're not going to be doing that, then we don't really have much choice in what we're going to go for. We're going to try to be building around Vi, but we'd probably just fall back into what would be considered a smash and grab style deck, which is a build around based on Insightful Investigator. This is just a deck centered on just playing a whole bunch of 2-cost cards. Gets a lot of value out of playing both Eager Apprentice and Mystic Shot. And Insightful Investigator kind of counts as a fallback champion because it can generate so much value. Kind of like with Heimerdinger, how if you're able to just say drop him on turn 8 with a total of 6 mana, if we're able to play the Investigator, play an Eager Apprentice, and then some Mystic Shots, or however you want to go about it, it's just a pretty easy way to go about it. But this is the one we're going to be taking. There's not a lot of not a lot of quality here, and there are a lot of fairly bad cards. And so we'll see what we're able to perhaps pivot to after the second pack. But so we're basically just going to be seeing what we can get done with Vi. But this is at least a reasonable start, I guess. Patrol Wardens isn't a horrible unit. Shady Character is one of the weaker units these days, but I don't know, maybe we can copy a big Ballistic Bot or something and get some value that way. Okay, so some interesting choices here. The easy go-to one would be this Teemo, and I believe this is what we're going to actually be taking here. One of these Teemo decks that I do really enjoy is kind of focused just on back alley barkeep. We're just going to try to avoid taking cards that cost more than 4 mana, and then we're going to generate all of our top end with back alley barkeep. And then if you did notice on the cloning program, the back alley barkeep is one of the cards that live here. And so hopefully we'd be able to get a little bit of dual use value out of these. Otherwise, I'm not a huge fan of pairing up Ashe with anything in Piltover. Uh, uh, these are, kind of like combat-oriented champions, and we look at both Vi and we look at Ashe, but Vi tends to be, Piltover, I should say, tends to be more spell-centric. It tends to be more like, let's build towards this puffcap peddler, and that kind of strategy does not really play out well with Ashe. So I'm not super excited about that. We could be, pursuing the Zoe. She does pair up well with Vi. We do have a few ways to generate cards, so we can be playing more cards. That would be kind of the idea behind playing augments with Vi. Is Vi wants you to play a bunch of cards, and then Zoe can kind of generate these cards to help us level up our Vi. I'm not like super excited about this. That doesn't make me too jazzed about what's going on. But this Teemo is pretty reasonable. I think this is the route we're wanting to pursue. So let me take a moment and get him pulled up here as well with Teemo and the Total Recall. And so cool, yeah. The way I tend to look at these Teemo decks is there's a few different ones you can look to be building. There is the Elusives deck, which is harder and harder to find these days. This tends to want to be a what are they called? A Piltover Allegiance deck, so that you can get full value out of the Sumpworks map generator, whatever he's called. They take you out of here as well, and I guess you're just completely gone. That's one of the reasons. Oh no, we just clicked on Total Recall again. Shroom Boom, Sump Snipe Scavenger. That's the Allegiance guy, and so we're typically looking to build these like really aggressive decks that have Clump of Wumps and Academy Prodigy at 2, and then Amateur Aeronaut at 3, Sump Snipe Scavenger at 4, and then you're trying to get 8 to 12 damage in on your opponent via combat damage, and then close out the games with puff caps. That's kind of deck number 1. It is much tougher to actually come across these days. This is more of a kind of like foundation style draft. What we'll probably just end up with here is I do really like these excessively aggressive like 2-cost decks that really have a whole bunch of Clump of Wumps in it. Maybe we'll find a veteran investigator to really help push that theme along, and then we want to close out the games with having like 3 or 4 puffcap peddlers in our deck. That's the kind of more common, more Teemo focused aggro strategy. And then, the last one that we can really try to pull off here is what I would consider to be the back alley barkeep deck, to where we're not going to play anything in our deck that costs more than 4. If we find something like University of Piltover or True Shot Barrage or Progress Day, then sure, we'll play an expensive card. But we're really trying to avoid things like Plaza Guardian. We're trying to avoid things like Jay Madara and Karina and just these excessively expensive cards. We want everything to be super cheap and then generate a bunch of expensive cards with our barkeeps. And so I think we might be able to pull something off like that. That's probably the route I would see us trying to go, since we're starting here paired up with Vi. But we can see how this plays out. I was kind of curious if we would see any of the kind of victor cards. I was kind of interested in seeing like ballistic bots paired up with this deck, just having a spell generated every turn for puffcap peddlers that also does a little bit of face damage. I think ballistic bots would be spectacular in this deck, but these packs don't have any of that kind of theme. I don't really want to dive in on these Ionia cards, so we can skip over the Highwayman and Swole Squirrel. And then I do not want these cloning program packs showing up. We don't want these cards in our deck anyways. Iterative Improvement and Parade Electro Rig, both fairly weak cards. And so Chump Wump does generate Mushroom Clouds, and then Gotcha being a removal spell. Pretty reasonable set of cards. And then also, if we do fall back into this 2-cost cards matter theme, then Gotcha also fits in with that theme, between like Gotcha and Patrol Wardens. Okay, these packs aren't super good, but Smash and Grab is the archetype, the 2-cost cards archetype, and it has the Mystic Shot here, which is what we want. Just counterfeit copies, worst card in the game. Sumpworks map is pretty close. It's a fine card to generate, just not a card you actually want to be playing. So with this kind of deck, you can kind of consider pushing into Elusives out of the Total Recall strategy. I just don't really like doing this. I do kind of like the combo of Teemo plus Navori Conspirator, but the thing you're supposed to be doing with Total Recall is, say, bouncing back your Chump Wumps, and that just takes way too much time to sit around, return Chump Wumps, and back alley barkeeps takes forever to do. Okay. All right. Well, I'm pretty happy to just pick up these barkeeps, and then so if we're going to do that, I want the one with the aftershock. The veteran investigator is okay. This deck does kind of play to the smash and grab kind of theme. It is another 2-drop. We have some of the themes that play towards that. Like kind of the idea with veteran investigators is we're going to put 40 puff caps in our opponent's deck and then just make them draw a bunch of cards. It's a theme we're fine to pull off, but not something I like to actively pursue. I do want to be going after the barkeeps here. Okay. Well, I've been kind of curious about trying out Hexcore Foundry with Teemo. I feel like it's going to be horrible, but as we just kind of mentioned with the veteran investigator drawing cards, can make everyone draw cards like this. And at least the style of deck that we're trying to put together, it does seem like it should ideally fit in. This would be good if we can just dumpster out our whole hand and take advantage of all of our mana. And then if our opponent is, say, playing like a Shyvana deck and they're just drawing, 2 6-drops in a turn that they can only play 1, then they aren't getting a whole lot of value out of this Foundry. So we'll take it here. I do admit that our curve looks pretty horrible for this kind of theme. We really need to be pushing things lower. But we'll have to just kind of see what shows up. We're kind of at the fate of the gods a little bit here. But with these, we're happy to take Mystic Shot with the Experimenter. This is one of the expensive cards that I'd happily take, and so love all these Mystic Shots. It's the one that we always want to be taking here. Oh boy, and what's Give It All? Raises the attack and health and grants all the keywords. So with what are we looking at here? With our champions, it's good. Giving units elusive is the kind of go-to awesomeness with Give It All. And then Vi plays to it reasonably well. We don't so much care about giving units Challenger and Tough as much as just giving them a big chunk of attack. But otherwise, it doesn't seem like super exciting with what we're trying to pull off here. So I'm going to take the Get Excited with the Clump of Wumps, just keep trying to push our curve lower. Okay, well, this continues on the theme. We got a Clump of Wumps with the Back Alley Barkeep. When it comes to the Chump or the Clump, I do prefer the Clump being just a little bit cheaper in this style of deck. There are decks that prefer the bigger unit, but I think with how these cards have come together, I want the cheaper cards here. Okay, this is our 1 Thermogenic Beam. I'd be happy to have 2 or 3 typically, but we really, really want to have at least 1 in our deck. So that's a fairly easy pick here. Cool, a couple cheap units, a Mystic Shot with a 2-drop. That's exactly what we're looking for. What do we got here? Do have a second Hexcore Foundry. I don't think we're going to get like a whole lot of value out of these, but the rest of these cards are pretty weak, and Eager Apprentice plays fantastically in these decks. And so I think I would be okay with 1 more Aftershock, but we don't have any combos with Poro Cannon outside of, we have some puffcap generation, and so this is okay, but that's not really enough reason to go after it. We should give these Hexcore Foundries a reasonable shot anyways, now that we're in the Cosmic Creations. Here, pretty happy. If we're going to take a set of 2-drops, we want the one with the Clump of Wumps. That's a pretty easy set. And our last one, I think we're going to have to take these 4s. I don't really like Chempunk Shredder in this style of deck. I do like this in, say, like a Fishbone style aggressive deck, to where you're just playing like a whole bunch of 1-drops on the board. And then your opponent gets a bunch of value blocks and you clean them up with the Chempunk Shredder. I'm completely happy with that. This style of deck, what tends to happen is we'll play a whole bunch of units on the board. We'll kind of win the aggro game until like turn 4 or turn 5. And then on turn like 6 or 7 or 8 or so, we're going to have to figure out a like all-in attack. And then we're not going to attack anymore the rest of the game. We're just going to close things out with Puffcat Peddlers and blocking. And Chempunk Shredder just doesn't really play well to that theme. But I'm happy enough to pick up a Barkeep with the Chump Wump. Our 4-drop slot is a little bit heavy here, but something that we're just going to have to deal with. And this, I'm never going to want this shady character. I'm not like really excited about Death Rays. I think this card is pretty garbage, but it is reasonably cheap, and it should fit into our curve fairly well. Not like it's just like, what do we want to like this Mark II Death Ray, or would we rather just play Mystic Shot? We'd rather just play Mystic Shot so many times, but I don't want these shady characters either. So I'm going to go ahead and accept it. Hopefully, we can just kind of power through these with our Hexcore Foundries. Okay. Oh man, I almost forgot. We got to go and we got to premium up one of these cards. I wish there was a way to, like, an indicator to see which of these we haven't premiumed yet. I know that we have Mystic Shots. If we're not going to get Mystic Shot, then let's go and get the Clump of Wumps. Okay, I'm pretty sure at least. Let me see here. How do I do this? Cards. Yeah, we got that shiny Mystic Shot. So let's pull up the clumps so we can get these premium mushroom clouds. That's what that's what this trial's going to be all about. So cool, nice and shiny, friend. Let's get in here. Expedition, ready to play. So yeah, this came together okay. I'd like to trade out some of these expensive cards just to push our curve lower. I wish we could. I mean, I would actually even be kind of happy to just pick up some of those Poro cannons that we let slide by, just because I think our hand is going to get too clogged up. Our curve needs to be a little bit lower for what we're pulling off here. But it's our chance to try out these Hextech Foundries, and so pretty excited about that. I think they're going to be fairly mediocre to bad, but you know, in a lot of these games. With puffcaps, we would be okay with just playing it as opposed to like any unit. So here, you know, there are 2 Mystic Shots. I don't think these are going to be spectacular against Sejuani Callista, so let's at least get rid of another one. Look for Teemo and look for 2 drops. Found it all. That's the way the pros do it.
Nothing like the great outdoors.
Okay.
Armed and ready.
So we should be fairly safe here. He can't open hook our Teemo, so we should be able to play Eager Apprentice, then Mystic Shot down as Challenger Bird. Beautiful.
Happy to do whatever's needed.
Shoot me right out.
And I was kind of tempted to just block this Curse Keeper. I do like getting these stupid things off the board, especially when we're looking to just add Academy Prodigy to the board. But
Didn't build one.
it's just a little early, I think. Maybe next turn. I mean, next turn he's just going to be playing, like, if he plays like Blighted Caretaker, then it's pretty bad for us. But this is still fine. You have a Thresh? No. Weird. Whenever I see Demacia Shadow Isles nowadays, I assume that they're just playing the Grand Plaza within that Garen deck, and so it's odd to see Sejuani Callista paired up together. Yep. And see, like, this is kind of the reason why I talk about wanting to just go ahead and take that trade. He wasn't going to have a good block with this Escaped Abomination.
What did you find today?
Because our unit was going to have quick attack, and then he would be kind of forfeiting getting this unit into play. But the ship has sailed on that line. We're just going to add 2 clumps. We're going to send 2 mushroom clouds to his face, and then get to getting this Teemo in. Sorry, I thought I was going to sneeze. So yeah, let's see.
More for my collection.
Here's our leveled up Teemo. I do want to be opening here in case he has something like Crumble. And then we can just kind of plan on blocking for the rest of the game. Excuse me.
Could you hold this?
You could be so much more.
Oh man, he picked up an elusive.
Make your poison.
A mushroom tea.
Progress day. I don't think we're even going to end up playing this, but it is a powerful one. Okay, so let's just block some stuff.
Who do you expect to send you?
As long as we're not dying is all we're really going for here. Time is our friend. So I'm going to add the Hexcore Foundry to get this guy drawing some more cards, and I'm going to Thermogenic Beam down this Zap Spray Fin so we can try to get another Teemo hit in. Uh-oh. Oh, sure. Draw those cards. Keep keep them coming. Sure. Just keep drawing them. Draw and draw and draw. It feels a little greedy at this stage of the game.
Fight or die.
Okay.
Armed and ready.
Alright, I think we should be okay here. We're able to play either, a removal spell and a blocker. Sure, he's not adding anything else to the board here. I think this is fine.
Just trying to help.
And I want to Death Ray first. This is one of the cards I'd be okay with drawing after we augmented Experiment or something down, just so we have another removal spell for his board. Let's get rid of the Overwhelm unit.
The answer is here somewhere.
It hurts to discard Progress Dave, but I think it's pretty reasonable in this spot. If he doesn't kill us on this attack, then he's just going to die to puffcaps. If we don't get him on his draw step, anyways. Got him. Cool. So yeah, I want to kind of keep this same idea going. If this thing doesn't go away too quickly over here, I was going to say I want at least one more back alley barkeep, or not back alley barkeep, one more. What are you called? Puffcap Peddler, and then I'd like to just push our curve lower, lower, and lower. There's not really any one drops for us to be finding outside of Teemo, which is kind of unfortunate, but otherwise, Poro Cannons would look pretty good here. Static Shock's not really what we're looking for. We have enough Chump Wumps at this point, but Teemo's just too important to pass up. Always end up loving these decks. It's like how many one drops are in it? Like 10? That sounds like a bust deck right there. Oh shit. I know what I'm about. And I am 100% okay with it. Okay. See, here's the Garen with the Shadow Isles, Demacia, and so I have to assume that he's going to be playing the Grand Plaza. Not really anything we can do about it, but I'm not going to mulligan for Aftershocks just because he's playing the Grand Plaza.
See the world from behind a basilisk. Finally, some action.
Okay, and then it is moderately interesting here because, at least with him playing Blade Squire, his next most likely play is probably a Rune Forger, or at least the play that he wants to be making. Oh, Curse Keeper, cool. So we just have a value attack. What I was getting at was we probably have a good attack with Clump of Wumps and don't have to just count on Teemo hanging out here with an open attack. A lot of Cursed Keepers today. In our opinion, this card is garbage. Look at that, just chunking them right from the start.
Nothing can stop
Okay.
me.
I've been down in the sump, haven't you?
Just this, I was going to say. Interesting. I was pretty okay with blocking as Cursed Keeper. After that last game, I don't know if that was just kind of a bit of confirmation bias or not, but it seemed pretty reasonable to me. Then I am going to open here. It's much more likely that he just plays a 3/3 for 3 or a Riven or something that causes us trouble.
Free. Ooh, quite a collection. You'll never know what hit him.
And we should be at least safe here from if he wants to try to single combat down Teemo or something. Beautiful. We should be set this game. We can just stall again.
So many years, so much misery.
I'm on it.
Let's go ahead and beam this big one down. This is we've kind of got to this spot to where as long as we don't die, we'll just kill him with puffcaps. So I think we just need to be spending all of our mana as we can and just not dying.
For king and country.
So I mean, we're never gonna like Mystic Shot here. How are these gonna go? Like, I think we just want to add the Barkeep. Well, maybe not. Because we can just go ahead and start Mushroom Clouding from here. We can throw anything in front of Garen. We have a good block here. We can put... Yeah, I'm okay with this.
Excuse you.
Grow free.
Go ahead and spew this damage in. The Garen is kind of scary in that he'll let him start attacking on our turn and closing these games out quickly. We can get enough blockers down just
Girl Scout ahead.
throw in front of his units, but if he's able to
There's enough for everyone.
attack on our turn as well, then this is a scary amount of damage. But I'm pretty sure we're okay now. This should be pretty tough for us to lose from this point.
Have 3.
I've heard about
We don't care
you.
about losing Teemo anymore. We have blockers for his dudes. It should be pretty tough for him to deal 19 damage. $68's like 4 damage a turn. 2 Mystic Shots. Nice. Just nug him for 7. We're not like guaranteed kills here, but it's getting better and better. He can't Withering Wail or what's the other one called? The 3 damage, gain 3 health thing.
Mushroom tea, on the rocks.
I think we're fine here. We're just gonna send these Mystic Shots face.
Break their ranks.
I don't think we care about any of this, right? We can put the Peddler here for a good block.
I'm
We're
a peddler, not a meddler.
looking to take 6. There's no way he can 6 from this from here. He's gonna have to survive these Mystic Shots plus 2 more draws. Oh no, he could probably open kill us next turn. That's the thing.
There they go.
As I mentioned with Garen getting scary. Cool. Cool. Alright, alright. Interesting. I don't really want to make any of these. I think I might actually be okay with getting rid of Aftershock, though. It's going to push our curve down and pick up one of these Premier removals. I think that's okay. Dealing 3 is not a huge deal. We're probably never going to hit landmarks with this. Like in that previous game, like if we want to imagine him playing a Grand Plaza on 3, would we ever like Aftershock it? It takes so much time to go and do that. I think I'm fine to just pick up Mystic Shots. You can never have enough of these. Okay. We got Vi or Alien Soul. This seems like the kind of thing puffcap should be good against. They've traditionally been pretty powerful against Invoke decks. Also pretty good just to draw your Teemos for for turn 1 every game. I got rid of all that other stuff. It's more important to find 2 drops we can play in Mystic Shots. So we didn't find any here, but I would still rather be shuffling away like whatever that dude's called. Puffcap Peddlers, right? These aren't really 3 drops. You can play it on the 3rd turn, but these really function more like 6 and 7 drops. Okay, and I'm fine to play a unit here. There's, a non-zero chance that he already has like Mystic Shot or has a removal spell to play on Teemo. If he had a Thermogenic Beam, he probably would have just played it on his turn. And so if his idea here is to do something to kill Teemo, then I would prefer to have a way to get this additional couple points of damage in.
More mushrooms.
Look how shiny that guy. Look at how shiny this guy is. Nice. Oh, that seems good for us. So we're gonna have to open next turn. If he picks up a like a meteor shower or a whatever the obliterate is, I do want to go ahead and get our Teemo damage in. So very good chance he just can't add anything here. The trickster. That messes with all our plans.
Who's a good boy?
What do we think about just slamming Teemo in here anyways? Oh man, we should have banked up an extra mana, shouldn't we have? I think this is okay though. We can try to line that up for next turn. Let's at least go ahead and try to put a piece of damage on this thing so we can get a very good static shock here, and then we'll add our chump womp. See if we can't get a fantastic open on our next turn.
Right?
But we probably have to give up on this this Teemo connecting again plan.
Think I'm still like a yodel in uniform.
But we are pretty well built up for if we ever draw Puffcap Peddler.
Tilt over Enforcer on the scene.
Okay, so this Teemo plan is just not happening anymore. Let's pass. If he doesn't attack and ships it back to us, then I feel like that's probably a win for us. Ideally, like to find a 2-drop here.
Signing off.
I think I'm okay to just go ahead and throw this at Vi. This is gonna. We're not adding any more units because we spent all our mana. That's at least. This is what I think this is gonna come down to. Is just spending as much mana as we can.
I got ways to find me mushrooms.
If he plays like a 3/3 here, then we can still attack profitably into this board. I'm okay with adding these. Sure, that seems a little slow.
Tell it to the fists.
Okay, so we can actually just Mystic Shot her down. Interesting to see what he does here. Because I really don't want to be spending Mystic Shots on Vi when we're so close to lethal on him. Yeah, I figured. Listen, so we're just gonna start throwing Puffcap's face. We just need to deal 6 damage. And we've got 2 of it in our hand. Which is this 8 plus 6, 14? That's fine. Let's go ahead and barkeep. The idea I have here is that we're going to be adding 1 more Mushroom Cloud, and then we're going to play Veteran Investigator.
Trouble coming at ya.
Might have changed my plan now that we've drawn Amateur Aeronaut. Because we don't have like a big chunk of Puffcaps on him. And we do have to kind of worry about him gaining 5 health.
Oh boy, yep, I'm
But
flying.
I think our ground-based attacks are done here. Maybe we could have prevented 2 damage, but don't think we ever get wider than him, but you know, if we're gonna get a chance to do it, we might as well go for it. If we can punch in 2 damage here, that would be huge. So it makes it seem all the more reasonable.
How can I help?
Nice.
Not in my joint.
So we're gonna Mystic Shot him now. From the way that he spent his mana, he's gonna take 2 damage here and fall to 3. And so when his turn starts, we want him to die to a puffcap. We don't want him to have the opportunity to play the gain 5 health thing. Pretty good on the puffcaps. So I mean, if he has the gain 2 health, he needs to do it essentially before his turn starts. This does at least help play around the gain 5 health card. All right. Let's roll the dice here. This is a much better than a coin flip for us. 19 cards and we have 32 buff caps. Got him. Nice. Didn't even need that Mystic Shot. Okay. So cool. I mean, we're taking the Teemo. These cards are garbage. We don't really want Static Shocks or Suit Ups, but the Teemo is too important here. Cool. It's been a little close. That's how these these Teemo decks always end up. It feels like you're getting right there to the end and then rolling some dice. get your gambling in for the day. Right. So let's hang on to the 2 so we have something, and then we'll try to dig for a Teemo the rest of the way. Got it.
Prepared for anything.
There's not like really any punishes for us. Like if we add Clump of Wumps here,
Good boy.
all his removal spells are going to be fast. So
Swiftly.
okay, we'll just go ahead and slamming this in.
There's enough for everyone.
I guess. Well, now that I stop and think on it more, I guess we should have have to consider Sharp Sight. We at least have an answer for it now if that's his thing, but our Teemo kill is not as free as our Teemo attack isn't as free as we'd like it to be.
Could you hold this? You died as you lived. Smelly.
Dragon blood, Demacian heart.
Okay, so we can try to beam Shyvana if he has a barrier. Then this beam is going to feel pretty bad. Need to spend like some mana here, so let's trail. It helps spend some mana.
Grow free.
And I'm not quite willing to just go face with with these burn spells just yet. I guess we can stop here. Or I mean, we can spend Gotcha onto Shyvana. I kind of like this. So if he wants to attack with her next turn, we can threaten kills with an Eager Apprentice. That helps play through some barriers as well. So I don't love it, but I don't hate it. All right, we just got our flipped Teemo. Let's protect it. How bad is this if he has a barrier? Let's see what happens. It should be... this should be okay.
My collection.
One girl wrecking crew.
Okay, alright. All the burn, all the burn.
Put on me mask, secure me tail, start the day.
So that does give us a more reasonable way to flip our Vi here. I do like adding this. Doesn't really want to block this with either of his units. It still feels like he has a barrier, but we have a little bit more counterplay to that now.
This world is finished.
Oh, that's a harvest right there.
I don't need a plan. Freeze!
Single combat. Does this flip his Shyvana? Nope. Okay. I can live with that.
We are inevitable.
I think we're going to be falling too far behind now, though. Let's ace Shyvana. I want to keep this burn so that we can try to send it all face. But we really need to be hitting like a puffcap pedal or another Teemo. Or even, you know, as we talked about the deck building, a Hexcore Foundry would be okay. Right? He's in this spot to where, like, what is he going to add? You know, if he draws 2 Envolus Voxes every turn, who cares? He can only add 1. So I'm pretty okay with this.
Must die.
This will probably never prevent more damage, so let's go throw it in. I'm ready to be all in on this just burn plan. And so I'm not going to Mushroom Cloud just yet. I think we have like one more opportunity to draw a Puffcap Peddler. And then hopefully we're in a spot to where he can't just kill us on his next attack. I don't really want to play this. Gotta draw something useful.
One candle for every soul.
Yeah, it needs kind of like a damage turn. Just don't want to be spending these mystic shots. I don't think we have a whole lot of choice. These barkeeps have made so many progress days. Okay, well, it should at least be tough for him to kill us next turn. And then now we're just kind of at the spew point where we just play all of our cards and hope for the best. Yeah, that's not lethal, right? That's 14, 15? Okay.
Look to the skies.
There are none like me.
So, I mean, if he has the, what's that thing called? The dragon, the rally dragon, whatever it's called, then I guess he'll win. But if he doesn't have a way to rally, then we should be in pretty tip-top shape here.
Pay dirt.
Okay. Thing costs like 5 or 6. I can't remember exactly, but he's gonna have to have like a relentless pursuit to rally here. Sure. And the Teemo. How scary is it to actually add units here? It's not that bad, I don't think. I mean, he just played as one single combat. If he has a second one, then that's kind of unfortunate, but I think Teemo's high value enough to try to throw down. And interestingly, can we ever just, we have seven in hand. I don't think we can ever just try to take the Empyrean down, right? You want to spend 5 mana and it just goes wrong? I don't particularly like that.
Officer J.S. Hawklaw, Unit 6.
Do like picking up puffcap peddlers though.
My shield is yours.
Sure.
Oh, if mushrooms could talk.
I'll have what he's having.
I've always been a fun guy.
Happy to do whatever's needed.
Can we even survive? Can we survive this attack next turn? How sick would that be? Okay, I don't feel like it super matters. So we got to hit for 4 puffcap damage. Got to hit for 5 puffcap damage. But he's got 3 draws. And we hit a mystic shot. Nice. I think we got it. Things happened.
Come to the light.
Okay, let's see if we win. What else is there to do? Let's just see if we win. It's a single combat. He did burn off a concerted strike to his, so it's one less way he can Radiant Guardian us out of this game. Nice, nice. So I think I was pretty spot on with how those Hexcores played against Shyvana. It's like we just don't care. If, you know, he's gonna be drawing so much mana of cards, he's never going to be able to play them all. Cool, real stoked with how that panned out. Let's see. Like, not even really upset about trading out these back alley barkeeps, but I don't really want Patrol Warden. Eager Apprentice is one of our top-notch early game plays, but I think the Beam is probably good enough to pick up here. I would really like to be trading out like Suit Up and Static Shock and like one Chump Wump. Things like Patrol Wardens to pick up Thermogenic Beams or even more Eager Apprentices. But I think the Beam's too good to pass up here. Okay. I wonder how this would pan out if we were paired with, like, Bilgewater. Something that just has a big pile of 1-drops in it we could be spewing out here. Okay, all the Teemos. Callista Lucian. We should probably hang on to both. I think this hand is okay. I do worry about these getting popped off by a Vile Feast or an Unspeakable Horror.
Petricite, protect me.
Another day in the field.
Track them down.
Okay. So much like these previous games, I think we're good to go ahead and add our unit here. There's a lot of cards for him that just don't interact favorably with this, and so we may get an attack in, and then if he has a Vile Feast or an Unspeakable Horror or whatever his answer to Teemo would be, then it just doesn't change anything, right? I guess, you know, kind of like the worst thing that could happen here is if he has single combat as his way to answer Teemo, so he gets a block with the Conservator on the Investigator and then the single combat on Teemo. But okay,
I'll scout ahead.
you can level this up if you want. I'm okay with that.
Adventure starts with mushrooms.
I just want to be able to go wide here if given the opportunity.
The chains, they never stop.
We shall not rest until all betrayers end.
Alright, well, we can kill Callista. Let's see how he goes about this.
I've gotta get out of here.
I'll recite your rights.
Then, again, I'm pretty okay with just spewing these cards out here. If we're going to be adding Hexcore Foundries to the board, then I'm not super worried about card advantage. Don't want to be drawing these expensive cards.
Size doesn't mean everything. Oh, it's playtime.
It's beautiful for us. It's one less unit he can attack with.
A cut above the rest.
Sure.
Put on me mask, secure me tail.
We can
start
puff
the
cap
day.
out of this.
Not a hair out of place.
Excuse you.
Does feel a little awkward. Like he has to know that we can just puff cap into this one. So I would like to be able to death ray this thing down, but I think we'll be okay with this. It seems like highly suspect that he hooks in on Teemo and doesn't have some kind of follow-up play. It's okay with just keeping this mana banked, so if he wants to Unspeakable Horror or Teemo or whatever, we have our backup Teemo in hand. I think we want the Chump Wump.
Them wumps do like a yodel in uniform.
This could threaten real attacks on him.
New recruit reporting in. I'll scout ahead. Whoa! Hey!
Sure.
Signing off.
Pretty good for us. I mean, he's not getting to add to the board, and we can just switch to spewing the Puffcat Peddler.
Alright, let's mess some folks up.
Oh, if mushrooms could talk.
Or wumps, am I right?
Here we go.
Then I'm gonna go ahead and put the block in here.
Excuse you.
I want this death ray to be what actually kills his unit, but if he has some kind of like combat trick here, I would prefer to not take the damage, so we can still just use Chump Wump to finish him off.
Prepared for anything.
Everyone's a garden.
Okay. Let's wait till he attacks. Maybe he'll come in with the Caretaker as well.
The grove follows.
I'm a peddler, not a meddler.
So this will be a huge open attack next turn now. Beautiful.
My saplings.
Do have to slightly worry about something like Withering Wail, but getting the Teemo hit in should be big enough to feel good about that.
They'll never know what hit them.
Oh, that's a harvest right there.
And this leaves us make blocker and death ray or something. This is fine. I was trying to think if we wanted to spew off another spell, but I don't think that's the case. He'll have a pretty tough time surviving his next draw step. What you got there, Loco Pive? You got a rage quit? Phone drop? The old toilet phone happens on occasion. I think we got a toilet phone here. It's not even lethal. Come on, man. Oh, here we go. He is still here. Cool.
Size doesn't mean everything.
Okay. Can't imagine he survives into his next turn. I guess
Justice will be served.
it could be possible. Let's just add this and bank 3 spell mana. Adding the 1 point of damage seems a little spewy.
My journey continues.
Maybe not. Get a point in and 3 more puff caps. Can't imagine 3 puff caps ever matter here, but the big thing I was kind of interested in was the chance to draw another Mystic Shot. So maybe we should have just sent it in there, but
There's a chill in the air.
give ourselves a chance to block it. We're never connecting with an attack the rest of this game.
There they go. You've got to be kidding me.
None of these units are particularly exciting adds. I guess this is the cheapest one. We just don't want to be blocking with Teemo. We're okay to just give up all the rest of these units. He is going to gain 4, but again, as long as we don't die, it should be pretty hard for him to come in on the next turn.
Bring in the heat.
Technically just Death Ray our Chump Wump. Close is going to be to flipping this Lucian. Just losing 2 units, I think it's probably okay.
What seems to be the problem?
It's a cannon, not a shield.
And then if it comes down to it, we can also block with Teemo if he gets some kind of rally. I think we're okay here.
My story ends.
My pretty.
Alright, it's going to take him a lot of work to get a rally. Relentless Pursuit. I guess that's less work. But
'Banish the unworthy!
7. Okay.
I did my best.
It's going to have another Relentless Pursuit. That'll certainly do it to us. Okay, okay. There we go. Good game, friend. We didn't even draw any Mystic Shots either. I was glad we closed that one out. Those Lucian rallies are pretty scary. Cool. Let's see. I'm never trading out Get Excited for Gotcha. Also, I don't want any of these. I don't want more Static Shocks. I don't want to get rid of a 2-drop for a 3-drop. Let's just skip all of these. Give me the trades I want, game. Okay. See if we can't jump on into that final battle. Real close, real close. We have been doing a whole lot of turn 1 Teemos this run, though. I don't think he's like ultra important in the sense that it's not like the first flipped hit that really matters. It's the second flipped hit that just kills your opponent, and so it takes a lot of work to do, and he's fairly easy to kill off early. But you know, it's never bad to start with it, especially since he's the only one drop we have access to. Okay, the illusions with Nocturne. So many of these Shadow Isles decks today. you notice the ones later in the run haven't been haven't been dropping Cursed Keepers, as opposed to the ones in the beginning of the run. Just astute observations.
Prepared for anything.
Interesting. Why wouldn't you attack here? Like, are you never not trading for Teemo?
Didn't build one.
You're gonna get Unspeakable Horde. Yep. It's okay. We have a backup one. It would have been nice if
Push on without
we
me.
could have had it on board right now, but it's not a huge deal. We get more damage in with this Prodigy anyways. Okay. Let's wait till he gets into combat before we add too much stuff here. So we're going to take 4. He's going to have a Blighted Caretaker. We're going to have a Teemo. Seems okay.
Lucky shot. Reporting in.
Seems legit. The only bad thing here is it seems like a deck that can reasonably
Never know what hit 'em.
take advantage of Hexcore Foundry. We can't really add it to this board. Just if we add Hexcore Foundry and he just adds even like a 3/3, we're pretty
Push
far
back the
behind at that
darkness.
point.
Minding details is my duty.
Sure.
Charged up and ready to go.
How far away are you? You need both of these puff caps. I think we're at the point where we're just going to be throwing away our units. But I mean, we can still at least add 2 units to this board,
What did you
and then
find
be
today?
having good attacks next turn. It's pretty tough for him to just kind of go over top of us.
Just keeping the peace.
Officer Kipple, you never did return my pen.
Blast him!
Come.
Okay, so we can't. The big thing here is we can't let Lucian flip here. I guess he can't do it anyways.
I'll recite your rights.
Okay, this is okay, and then at least make him block Patrol Wardens on our open attack here with Lucian if he wants to have an answer to him.
You died as you lived. Smelly.
No, we can't open because we need our Teemo to flip those. Still, I still like how we blocked here, but
Them mum's still like a yodel in uniform.
maybe he'll spend a whole bunch of mana. Yeah. Not the whole bunch of mana we were really hoping for. No. I mean, oh, it just worked. Nice. It's like, I don't know if we're okay with how this board's shaping up, as far as just getting Teemos in here. Like, it's just, I think
Calm mind and
we need to force him to have a card. It's tough for his deck to just have cards to save his Lucian there, just because there's so few good ones, right? All of the combat tricks are in Demacia. Shadow Isles doesn't have any way to prevent there, and so I think it's best to just go ahead and risk being able to deal with his Lucian as opposed to trying to be on the Teemo plan. Does appear to have the answer to the Teemo plan in every way possible. Okay.
Vandal Scout never.
And I mean, we're gonna open on him. I think we're good. We need to play a Foundry. We're never gonna be threatening damage with these puff caps. It's kind of scary, but this board is just much better than ours. Suit up? That's a big draw.
Move out!
I want to go home.
Tell headquarters.
Okay, so like Neverglade Collector's pretty scary here, but otherwise I think we might be okay.
We turn the tide of war.
Oh, that's a harvest right there.
Gonna just go ahead and spend them all. There's nothing that we're gonna Mystic Shot this turn. And we need to punch as much damage through as we can, so I want him getting additional draws on the Hexcore Foundry, or if he wants to play a second Vanguard Redeemer, then make him pay for it. Probably had a spot to where we could have spewed those all off earlier. Well, not quite in combat. Hell yeah, Pesky Spectre. Is he just dead? He's real close. Real close.
Returned with interest.
Like to see him spend his mana before we Mystic Shot here. He has some ways he can get out of this, but have to have this be successful, right? So he can play like gain 2 health card, he can play Unspeakable Horror. Good deal. Alright. I think we might have been okay there. I think we might have been at 1. I didn't bother to do the math or anything. I can't remember if we could have even blocked his Nocturne. We would have had 3 attack units. Anyways, that game's over. let's get rid of our 4-cost card for it. Oh no, that's the wrong direction. No, I thought I was picking up. I thought we got rid of Shady Character, but I think of that backwards sometimes. Let's just let this one go. I don't want any more Static Shocks. Okay, I think I am fine with these. Trading out the barkeeps just for cheaper units. We've never been in a situation to where we could play 2 barkeeps this entire trial. So I think I might be okay just to try to trade out all of these. That'll leave us with 2 for a spell, removal spell at that could be cheap. Anything we can do to make our deck cheaper is all we're really shooting for here. All these poor back alley barkeeps. Are we going to get rid of all of them? I think we are. I think I'm okay with just having Chump Bumps as our top end. We've played exactly 2 back alley barkeeps this run, and they both built progress days. It's pretty interesting, but I'm fine with this. A choice for a last Hexcore Foundry. Okay, I'm sorry, barkeeps. You've been upgraded. Okay, with this, I don't think I want to do any of these. I do kind of like the Death Ray in this this Hexcore Foundry deck, but I think Thermogenic Beam is just a little bit more important. If it comes to like drawing one of these throughout the game, we want it to be Thermogenic Beam. We have had some awkward turns where we want to like beam with Mystic Shot on the stack, but I think It's just way more important. If we're only going to draw one of these cards throughout the game, I definitely want to be drawing Beam as opposed to Death Ray. So let's let this one skip. And our last one. You can pick up a Mystic Shot for a Static Shock. Perfect. Cool, let's get to it. Okay, final battle. See if we can't just run out the 7-0 Teemo. He's one of my faves. I mean, if you've caught the most recent tier list video I did, and a lot of describing Riven is similar to what the deal is with Teemo, as to where you can take Teemo. There's, you know, we called out like 3 or 4 different decks you could draft if you're going to build around Teemo, and that didn't even include things like, you know, if we're going to be in like aggro Noxus and we just want the 1-drops, or if we're going to be in some kind of this is a hand. If we're going to be in some kind of you know, like Fishbones deck, then sure, we can do it with Teemo. If we're going to be in some kind of Kinku Wayfinder deck and have Teemo in there, it's not as powerful, but it's a, you know, it's a thing you can do. There's just so many options that you can get out of this Teemo that I really like seeing all those deck building decisions show up, as opposed to, you know, some of these other card pools to where it's just, you know, extremely linear, or there's really just like one deck that you can get yourself into. Okay, still a pretty reasonable start. Like, you know, it's unfortunate to have our Teemo get aced, but you know, he had to spend 3 mana on 1 card for our 1 mana on 1 card plus a little bit of puffcap value, so it's a pretty good deal for us in the end. Let's see here. This hand is not playing out particularly well. We wanted to go ahead and gotcha this Riven. That's the most mana efficient thing we could be doing here. Probably okay with this. But we need something. We need a little juice here. Okay, that's something.
I write the rules of power.
Gotta take it the slow way this game. gotta do that control deck style Teemo, where we just spend Mystic Shots on his units the whole game and then try to win with Puffcap Peddlers. Okay.
Ancient magic, new prey.
But, I mean, this is good for us. If we get him chunked down to 13 with this open attack next turn, we have some good removals to deal with you know, whatever he plans to play. Leaves us in a decent spot to just start going face. As long as he can't get too wide on us here, then... Oh, we just draw Teemo. Or we could just do that.
To serve the greater good.
It's 8, right? Yeah, that's a flip.
I love the smell of mushrooms in the morning.
Okay, and then the thing we have to, you know, kind of watch out for here is he would be able to play Big Sword on Riven next turn, which is a 10 damage chunk. So I guess I'm okay with just go ahead and banking the mana here. And then if he wants to make, it would be a 5 mana investment, right? He's already played the 1 Sword Fragment last turn, and then if he wants to spend 5 mana here, I guess we're okay with it. You just open mighting, or are you just going all in? Looks like we're just going all in.
Make these pieces whole.
Okay, I think we can answer this. 7, 8, 9. Yeah, we can just spew everything out. I don't really want to be losing our Hexcore Foundry here, but it could be okay. Oh, he just doesn't play Big Sword. Or 6, 9, so we can do this without. Okay. And we'll still have the Get Excited back up if he has some kind of combat trick. There's no tricks for 1 mana that save this Ribbon.
Finally, peace.
Take 5, we should be in pretty good shape here. But I mean, this all points to, you know, how important that turn 1 Teemo can be. Is you know, how different would this game be if he was able to play Runeforger on the 2nd turn and just crush from there.
Armed and ready. That's gotta sting.
Okay, I'm pretty cool to play Augmented Experimenter here. Ace off one of these units and give us a blocker for next turn.
The answer is here somewhere. Immerse yourself in
So
the...
it does suck to lose Get Excited, especially when he has Big Sword in hand, but hopefully this is enough to close. It will be 9 on Armored Elephant here. You can put 3 health in front of it, so we should just be taking 6. It's a lot of combat tricks. Just one damage? Oh man. 2 draws with almost like 2.5 to 1 count there.
Have a mushroom. Have 3.
Yeah, we're too far out to be trying to Static Shock and get a card draw here. All we can do is put stats on board and hope he can't overwhelm us out. I don't think we're dead here, but it's 10. Okay.
Charged up and ready to go. It's a cannon, not a shield.
Prevent that point of damage. Could be irrelevant.
Lucky shot.
Alright, well, we're going to open, and he's going to draw a ton of cards. I think we just win the game right here, but make up for the previous turn. Yeah, don't have to attack. So cool, yeah, nice little run. Easy little 7 winner there. And so it is cool to see this other, you know, kind of Teemo deck come into existence. We didn't, I didn't quite think the Hexcore thing was going to be super good. Let me get this deck pulled up here real quick. It's kind of like, you know, my initial impression on the Hexcore Foundry was like, how different can it be from Veteran Investigator, right? That's probably hard to see on your screen, but I assume everyone knows what Veteran Investigator is, and that, you know, like, how many cards are we going to get our opponents to draw? And then, you know, what does our board look like to where we can actually add the Foundry? Because as you can see in these decks, spending 3 mana to add for a card that doesn't add anything to the board is kind of scary, right? If we don't have like this really good curve where we're starting with Teemo and really curving out into the 4th turn and then playing like the Foundry after we've kind of developed this board with the Chump Wumps and like Patrol Wardens that has, you know, some amount of blockers on it, then we'd probably rather just be playing Veteran Investigator, right? Because he's good early and he's good late. He can come down on turn 2, maybe punch in for 3 damage and then get a trade, or, you know, later in the game he can do that thing to where he's drawing cards, trying to force our opponent to have card draws. But I thought the Foundry worked out pretty well here. You know, it does draw a whole lot of cards for a lot less mana, and so that does give some upside over the Veteran Investigator. I think realistically we just want both. There's not a whole lot of, you know, choosing which one is better than the other. The thing that does kind of give the Veteran Investigator a bit of an edge was, like, I wouldn't care if we had like 4 or 5 Veteran Investigators, but 3 Hexcore Foundries does feel like a lot. I probably wouldn't really want more than 2 of these, but in this like specific Teemo deck, 3 probably does feel better than 1, and so I'd probably, you know, skew to the side of more than the side of less. Yeah, I thought this turned out pretty well. So, typically with like these Teemo decks, it just kind of in general, we were calling this the back alley barkeep deck, which is this deck to where we don't really want anything in our deck that costs more than 4 mana. We're going to have some chump wumps, and then we're going to have 3 or 4 back alley barkeeps. It tended to play out as more of like a control-y style deck to where we're going to get, like the bar keeps down and draw a unit and then really just like stall the game out. But when you draw Teemo, when you have a turn 1 Teemo every game, the entire run, it's not quite as necessary to have to, plan for the late game as much. But if we look at this deck in the same way that we look at the back alley barkeep deck, to where we're just playing Hexcore Foundry as opposed to back alley barkeep, then this is fine. The same kind of ideal is going to apply. We don't really want anything that costs more than 4. You could see in all of those games we were still pretty capable of spending all of our mana every turn of the game, and then the only times we didn't do that were when we were trying to set up a thermogenic beam. And so that's really what we're trying to get ourselves to here, and especially with these Hexcore Foundries. Are like, well, if we're going to take advantage of this foundry, how do we do it? Kind of the initial and obvious thing to look at is, our opponent has puffcaps in their deck, and we want them to take damage from puffcaps. Let's make them draw some more cards, but that's not enough. And so, how are we going to take advantage of this more? I think we really kind of showcased that in that Shyvana game, but it took place in almost all of them. And that as long as we can spend all of our mana every turn, and our opponent can't, then it doesn't matter how many cards that they're drawing. And so, especially saw it with Shyvana, you would see it with an Invoke deck, to where, if the average cost of the card that they're drawing is like 5 mana, and we're on turn 6 of the game, then, if they draw 2 5-mana cards, they can only play one of them. And so we're really trying to take advantage of, us getting double use out of this foundry to where we can play all the extra cards that we draw and our opponents can't. And so what does our deck look like to where we can play all those cards? It just has to be really cheap. And so, that's why I really was talking about wanting these clump of wumps. Looking back on it, I kind of regret not taking all of those Poro cannons. I could see those being very good here. They're good with, just discarding to Mushroom Clouds, and they're also good as just, we've got like 2 Static Shocks, 2 Chump Wump in our hand, and we have 5 mana. We can only play one of those cards. If we have a Poro Cannon, then we can discard a Static Shock and start getting some more chip damage or some more blockers in there. And so all in all, that's kind of like the big thing that you'd be looking for here is how can I, kind of craft my deck to spend all of my mana every single turn of the game. The big thing here is just not taking expensive cards, and then on top of that, trying to push your curve super low. And so, yeah, I felt like this was a nice little variation on Teemo. If you're looking to draft this on your own, the kind of like tier 1 things you're looking for are 1 thermogenic beam, and you do need to get up to 2 or 3 puffcap peddlers. I don't want to call this like a tier 1 card, but you do kind of need to go out of your way to get these. We got really lucky with all these Teemos, but in the event that you can't draw Teemo, or your opponent just plays Zoe and you can't attack, or whatever it takes, and your turn 1 Teemo dies, your fallback plan is always Puffcap Peddler, and you need at least 2. You would rather have, like, 3 feels like the magic number, but you'd probably rather have 4 than have 2. And so, he is kind of your tier 1 to tier 1.5 card after your 1 thermogenic beam, and then also kind of tier 1.5 or so would be Mystic Shot. The big thing that you can kind of see here is this is where like a lot of your pivot point is if you have all these clumps of Mystic Shots, Veteran Investigators, Academy Prodigies, like this really good early game curve. If the things don't come together with Puffcap Peddler, then maybe you can fall back to Veteran Investigator. There's a lot of angles that you can choose here, but again, with your tier 1, your 1 beam, we'll go ahead and call Puffcap Peddler tier 1. Your kind of tier 1.5 being Mystic Shot and I think Clump of Wumps. And then your tier 2 would be your Puffcap Peddler and your kind of other removal spells, be it like Gotcha or Death Ray here. I was trying to think. There's things like Static Shock I don't really like, but kind of whatever you get excited, certainly follow up in there with Mystic Shot. Just you're looking for the cheap Puffcap generators, the cheap units, and then removal spells. Or kind of really should sum it up for you there. But that is going to do it for our win today. For our run today. I saw those wins up there, and I was just thinking of how we got 7 of them without any losses. Let's see what champion we had. Should be on Victor, yeah. Ooh, and the Grand Plaza, cool. And I think those are the extent of our rewards. click on home real quick and see if we got one of those loot boxes. Nope. That is going to do it for us. And so, yeah, I hope you all enjoyed the run. You learned how to send Teemo to the Hexcore Foundry just a little bit better, had a good educational time, and had some fun watching. This is Bust, and we thank you for being here.